Funny do, in this world of show business, there's no two ways about it. When they love you, as I've often said, they truly love you. You can have the world. You can see, of course, when stars really were at the top of their game, they could literally have anything. And it was interesting, isn't it? Because when you look back at, say, old feuds and stuff like that, I remember when Joan Collins was sort of all over the papers, basically now being the highest paid woman in America for starring in Dynasty. And then she came back into Heathrow, was waving the contract, and everybody thought, wow, what a clever, successful woman. However, the producer, Aaron Spelling, decided that he was going to now cut her down in episodes so he could feature her in the credits, but she very rarely appeared, basically taking a salary back to what she had previously. It's a little bit like this story regarding, of course, the former royals, Meghan and Harry. They would have thought that they dealt, quite a few clever moves with their signings, their dealings, their media enterprises. As I said to you before, Meghan famously said a few months back that they had several projects in the pipeline, and apparently we're all going to be in awe exactly of their expertise in running a media empire like Archewell. But now it appears there's a reason how Meghan has been silenced, and that's by a former employer. As ever, let me explain. Morning, lovely to see you today, and as ever, thank you so much for taking the time out to join me. It's interesting this because I often know, well, as somebody who's worked and continues to work in this media game, the contracts are never in your favour. Whichever way you look at it, they give you the money and you think, oh, it's wonderful. They'll give you a car, they'll give you a dressing room, they treat you by putting your name up on big posters around the world, but truly, then they decide when you've, shall we say, expired. Your interest to them has expired. And this is exactly what happened, as we now know, to Meghan and Harry in that Spotify deal. Because if you remember, one of the CEOs of that particular company called them grifters, cleaning it up as ever. And, he was very vocal about how he thought they were useless, not audio talent, all of that sort of stuff. But what's interesting here is that you see Meghan and Harry were apparently absolutely furious at being dumped by Spotify, as you can imagine. And what was interesting also was the fact that, they wanted to get their side of the story out because, you can't call somebody a grifter and not necessarily answer back, or indeed not a great audio talent. But apparently, you see, what happened, and as ever we have to say allegedly, is the bosses of Spotify were very clever, and particularly those that have since been let go, all thanks to the massive failure and the massive payoff to Harry and Meghan. Well, they revealed this. You see, basically, Spotify have said, well, look, if you want to come to, lock horns with us over this, we will reveal exactly the people that you did interview and the ones that you didn't. Let me recap. You see, Meghan didn't exactly sit down with everybody, allegedly, on the Archetypes podcast. A producer would sit in, answer the questions, or ask the questions, should I say. The celebrity would answer, and then Meghan would dub her questions in later, never really having actually asked the question. And apparently, according to that well-placed source, Spotify were more than happy, thrilled, relieved, delighted to reveal this particular lack of professionalism. Now, you might say, why would we want to do that? Well, why would you want to go on record calling them grifters? So you can understand how angry Spotify were at the lack of productivity that Meghan and Harry decided to offer that particular company. Of course, now it's all changed. They signed to Lemonada and they re-put out all of those Archetype podcasts. And that was, yes, a bit of a blip, wasn't it? And now we can't expect anything from Meghan or Harry on a podcast form until at least 2025, if ever. Interesting to know, though, what goes on in the background. I'm sure you'll agree. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.